All right, guys, we're good to go. First of all, like I said, welcome to the webinar today, and thanks for taking the time out of your today to join us for this fourth webinar series. Now, as you know, 2014 has been an amazing year for the world of online marketing, and 2015 is gearing up to be even bigger and better. There's been some great innovations throughout the year, and I'm going to be sharing with those innovations with you today and some strategies, and also how to get the best out of the Christmas season. So really jam-packed full of stuff today. Hopefully we make this worth your while and we get right into it. Now, as I was just saying before, you know, I was lucky enough the team was rather, at Sponsor Links, were lucky enough to win the Google All-Stars competition this year, which puts us in the handpicked as, you know, some of the best agencies in the world and the country. So very honoured to get there and learn some cutting-edge information that hopefully we're going to share with you today. All right, so today's goal, let's look at the agenda a little bit. We're going to look at Tag Manager. We're going to look at Google Call Forwarding Extensions, which is a great new feature from Google. And we're going to look at dynamic remarketing and what is dynamic remarketing and how you can really take advantage of this in 2015. We're going to look at keyword bidding strategies and how you can apply different strategies beyond what you may be already thinking. And we're going to look into a few new strategies that have come available to us late this year. We're also going to look at Christmas AdWords trades tips as well, and we'll get right into it. But let's jump right in. Now, the key thing to remember today is, you know, time and opportunities are perishable. There's no more valuable commodity, and I've said this before. The most valuable commodity you've got in the world is your time, because that's the only thing you can't really get back. You know, you can get money back, and you can get you know, other things back, but really time is valuable, especially as a small business owner. Time is really important. So we're going to look at a few things today on how we can maximize and leverage that. And we also know that a continual marketing presence, especially on AdWords, for example, the more your ads are displaying, the greater market share and also the cheaper cost per acquisition you can gain. So we're going to sort of explore that a little bit as well. But let's get right into it. Now today, make sure you do ask heaps of questions at the end of today, and even throughout you can ask them, but we won't probably reply to them until the end. Now, we do have some of our search marketing experts on standby today, and at the end of the webinar we're going to be offering potentially a digital web strategy for 2015 for you for a limited number of people. So if you guys, those who do stick around to the end, you may obviously get access to that. All right, a couple of more things. Remember to take a couple of notes. So if you do only get one thing out of today, it's absolutely going to be worth your while. So make sure you do take plenty of notes and you know, fully take advantage of this. Now, guys, first up, we're going to really explore the landscape, because I'm a true believer that if we understand the rules of the game better than our competitors, we're going to be able to play that game much, much better. For example, if I was playing sport and I understood the rules of that sport better than the opposing team, hopefully we're going to play a better game. So with that in mind, let's sort of start looking you know, under the hood, so to speak, of online marketing and provide some context. Now, some of you guys in previous webinars may have seen this quickly, so I'll skip through it quite fast, but nonetheless, we need to know this because this is really relevant to what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to teach you to be gurus, hopefully, at the end of this, and you know, online marketing is evolving and changing so fast. Almost every day, our team, you know, catch up every morning to literally learn what's happened the day before. But as much as we can do today, some of these strategies may take you to that next level. Now let's look at Google Australia. Google by far is the #1 search engine in Australia. It's you know, it accounts actually for around about 93.4% of search. Now, since this screenshot, this has actually gone up, and in fact, if you're on a mobile device, it's going to be even bigger. For example, an iPhone default browser is Safari, and every default search engine on Safari is Google. So that's got that covered, and then the other alternative is Android, and Android, as we know, has Chrome and obviously Google as well. So on a local search, which we know is now taking about 53% of all searches locally, you know, Google's where it's at. So we're going to explore Google a little bit. A few things we know about Google is obviously 90% of people don't click past page 1, and the higher up this page you are, you know, the more clicks you're going to get, and the time actually spent on your website improves. Now, we think this is associated to trust, and we'll get into that a bit later on. The other thing is, here's a screenshot, or an image rather, of what we refer to as the golden triangle. Now, this is the prime real estate on a screen, really where people's eyes go. Now, we believe positions 3 to 5 do provide the best ROI, but in some cases, positions 3 and 4 on the left, 3 and 2 on the left, once you know which keywords convert into leads, is obviously the place to be for much higher click-through rates. All right, now a few interesting stats we're going to sort of explore is 5.8 hours are spent per person consuming media per day from mobile devices now, so that's interesting. So we do know we're using mobile more and more and more, yet especially in a local environment, we know that 86% of all websites aren't mobile responsive. So you know, if 53 or half the traffic is coming via mobile and 86% of websites aren't mobile responsive, that is something that you should certainly look at in 2015 and make sure that you have a Converto page, is what you know, tool we use, or just make sure you speak to your developers and make sure your sites are responsive. The other interesting fact about mobile is people check it 100 times per day. So, you know, it is something that's getting a lot of searches. The other thing is if people go and search for something via a mobile device, the conversion rates increase. Now, why is it higher on a mobile than a desktop? Well, it could be due to the fact that they're holding a phone, and because they're holding that phone, you know, they're more likely to make a call off the website. Now, with this in mind, we're going to show to you a new tracking tool that Google's released today, or not today, or a few months ago rather, and we're going to show you how to take the best advantage of this sort of phenomenon. So this brings me to my next sort of section, and I guess before we head into the nitty-gritty stuff, is make sure that everything is tracked. You know, I'm so passionate about this. I have a strategy that we've touched on in previous webinars, which is don't guess. So I've written a book about it even. It is my ethos. So what we're going to be exploring today is some ways we can track, you know, and have things in place next year to make sure that we're tracking that data so that our client managers in particular can really understand what's driving sales conversions, how to improve ROI. So the more visibility we get across a campaign, the more educated decisions we're able to make. So we've got a section here called Winning the Game on with Google Tag Manager. Now, Tag Manager is just an amazing feature that Google's released. Now, what essentially it enables you to do is put something on your website once, but then you can always go ahead and add code later. So traditionally, we would have to go and add a lot of code to a website to track things like Google Analytics code or conversion code, you know, a whole bunch of different things. Now, when those codes got updated, you have to go back to your web developer, go and get them updated, and it just became a really lengthy process. So essentially now with Tag Manager, it really takes it one step further as well. We can track things that we really couldn't do with analytics as easily. So we can track things like actions and clicks and subscriptions, all from one bit of code. So it's quite an exciting, you know, exciting thing really for us marketers. The other cool thing is, as we said earlier, is it does give you the ability to really speed up the web page. So if you've got a quality score problem, it can sometimes be down to the fact that your web page is too slow to load, and this could be due to the fact that there's too many codes trying to load, or too many tracking codes via maybe analytics or conversion codes in a legacy way, and that can be slowing the page down. Now with Tag Manager, it actually optimizes the code process. So it's one bit of code gets put in once. Now, a team at Sponsored Links here, we install Tag Manager for free. We will not charge you to get your Tag Manager installed, with exception of unless it's extremely complicated, but mostly our team here are very good at setting it up. It's a free feature through Google, so it's something that is free of charge to use, but is something that we can then head into 2015 with the ability to go and add bits of code from the Tag Manager console and not actually physically have to annoy any web designers or developers. So in summary, it enables greater tracking capabilities and improvements and developments overall. It removes the need to deal with developers with a user-friendly framework. So essentially it's a centralized way of putting all the code into one sort of login, I guess, and then it injects the code remotely onto the web page. So once that code's put on once on the web page, you can go and add code further, or new additions of code in the Google Tag Manager login, and it goes and puts it on the website automatically. So it's pretty cool. All right, so that's Tag Manager, guys. Now with Tag Manager, one of the things we could be looking to use is call forwarding. So by far, one of the things I think is probably the most exciting feature that got released this year by Google is call tracking, as they refer to it, call forwarding. So I know some of our clients, we've been pretty heavy on pushing call forwarding and making sure we're tracking it. And we're going to sort of talk to you about why we think that's important and some of the advantages we can get from tracking phone calls. So one of the things with call tracking is, and just for those who don't know what call tracking is or if unfamiliar with it, essentially now with Google we can track when somebody, how many calls you're getting from your ads and from your website. Now traditionally we were able to track this with legacy ways of tracking, but with call forwarding Google will provide a 1-800 number, and we can free of charge, and we can forward anyone calls that number from an ad, and that's assigned to you from an ad or a website. We will track that in the Google AdWords tracking, and we can track all sorts of things, which I'll explain in a sec. But that's the gist of it. So essentially, it works like this: somebody goes to Google, they search, they see an ad, and a unique number is assigned when they go to your web page now. So they're on the actual website, and they can see 1-800 number, whatever it may be. They give you a call. Now we track that. So because it was a call forwarding number that Google assigned, we can then track all that data. So pretty cool. So how we set it up is really straightforward. We just forward it to a number you may already have. And I know some of you guys are already using this. And you can do some cool automation down the track, and I'll explain how that works briefly, but we may not have time to get into it today. But the cool thing really is it gives us a broader understanding of where the leads are coming from, because all too often you might look at it with traditional conversion code, go, oh, I've got 6 forms filled in and I spent, this much money, not realizing that you also had 10 phone calls as well. So some cool features that we can actually do and tracking metrics we get with call forwarding is call duration. So we see how long every single call lasted. We can also, in the settings, say, you know what, we're not going to count a conversion until it's a minute or 30 seconds, say, and then it's going to register as the conversion. So there's some cool settings we can work with. Time of calls. So it's going to let us know which times of calls, times of day your calls are coming through. So that's important from a keyword bidding point of view. If we might decide to up the bids for that period of the day, or we might decide to do something else quite clever. So the other thing is geographical location, so we can see where the calls are coming from, and we can see whether the call's answered, missed, and things like that. So this is another good indicator, because sometimes, busy running a business, you do actually get missed calls, and it's important to note so you can fix that. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully call forwarding for you guys, is something that you are using, and it's something that in 2015 I think is going to really take things to the next level, because if you're using call forwarding, say alongside with analytics and things like that, it's really going to give us a lot more visibility on really what's working online and what's not. And the real art form of online marketing, as I've said before, is figuring out what works online in terms of maybe keywords and which ones don't. So, for example, it's the old 80-20 rule, where 20% of your keywords will give you 80% of your sales and leads. Yet with AdWords, you're traditionally bidding on 100% of them. So it's so important to make sure that we know which keywords are which, and which keywords are generating sales and leads, and which ones are just generating clicks. Okay? All right, so moving forward, dynamic remarketing. Now, a few of you guys may have heard of remarketing, or maybe even doing remarketing, but there is a new sort of spin on this. Google have released what's called dynamic remarketing, and we're very excited by this. It's been available for a little while now, but it's not really been tested enough, I think, for us to really get behind it. And now what we're seeing is some huge results against traditional remarketing towards now what's referred to as dynamic remarketing. So here's how, I guess, remarketing works in a nutshell. Somebody goes to your website. There's a little cookie that tracks the prospect, so it gets installed on their browser. So then the prospect leaves, the baby screams, the phone rings, they get distracted. And then they say go to YouTube later that day. Now your ad would then display on partner websites of Google, such as YouTube or blogs and so on and so forth. Now the impression that this leaves is profound, because from a branding point of view it is massive, and it's traditionally been looked at mainly as a branding exercise, but now there's a way to make remarketing much more efficient from an ROI point of view, and let's explain how that works. So the function as it stands now is the ability to follow somebody around on other websites once they land on your website with a display ad or an image ad or even a text ad. So how this works now is, for example, is if with dynamic remarketing, is if you've got an ad, so let's say I'm looking for, on Harvey Norman's website, and I'm looking for DVD players. And if I go then leave and go to another website, say then end up on YouTube, it could have a banner ad that says, last chance, limited offer, DVD players, Harvey Norman, click here. It's relevant to what I originally searched for. And the key word there is relevance, is the higher the relevance to what I was looking for, the higher the conversion rate. So what's been seen here on a traditional, say, remarketing ad, when it follows them around, we've got some case studies here where, so for example, Netshoes managed to go from standard remarketing to dynamic remarketing and boosted their revenue growth by 30 to 40% with that alone, attributed just to remarketing. The other one was Sierra Trading Post, and their conversions increased fivefold. It's like 500% just from going from remarketing to dynamic remarketing. So I can't really rave about this feature enough. We've got a client, Mr. Toys Toy World, for example, and what could be great in that scenario is, say, people are looking on the checkout and they put everything in the cart and they're about to click buy and finalize the transaction, but again, distraction happens, a phone rings, a baby screams, and they abandon the cart for whatever reason. Well, if they go to any other site that's related or a Google partner site, say again YouTube, they can have a banner there that says, hey, these items are in your cart, or we noticed you've not finished your, would you like to complete your transaction? Because sometimes it is literally just life gets in the way, and that can immediately add to those conversion rates increasing. So guys, if you're not using dynamic remarketing, it is something that can maximize the ROI across the board with AdWords generally, and it can certainly just have a huge impact in 2015 on what you're doing. So speak to our guys about that if you haven't already. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about bidding strategies when it's in terms of AdWords, and I'm going to go into a little bit around some of the different, simplify this a little bit into the different bidding methods that really are available. A lot of people just think the standard bidding, and that's not really the case. So something we need to keep in mind is what might work best at particular times of day, week, year. Certain strategies are going to work better on particular keywords or campaigns. So what we really need to know is whether we should do things manually, automated, and things like that. So here are the key strategies and tactics that may be used. So let's get right into it. So obviously CPC, these are really the models that you can bid on when it comes to keywords. You can bid on CPC, or cost per click, cost per acquisition if you've got enough data sometimes, CPM, or cost per thousand. It says cost per million there, but it's really equates to 1,000. Enhanced CPC, and this is a new feature that's come just recently actually that I'm really quite excited about. I'll explain what enhanced CPC really is. It's the ability really to bid more when a Google auction's running. You can automatically go, you know what, if this is an auction that we think is going to convert into a transaction, or Google thinks it's going to convert into a transaction, Google will automatically up your bids by 30%, but making sure that you essentially are in a much higher chance of getting the conversion. So what we're seeing there is a better ROI, just generally speaking. You're getting more conversions. Yeah, you do bid at 30% more, but it sort of essentially means you're getting a high conversion rate. So mucking around with an enhanced CPC bidding strategies for 2015 and even shortly is definitely something that's worth looking at. And obviously the standard one, which has been around for quite a while, which is return on ad spend. So they're the sort of 5 options that are really available when it comes to bidding strategies. And obviously it can get quite technical because some people will go, right, I'm going to increase, for example, we talked about mobile traffic earlier. We might see that, people on their phones, the phone mobile conversion rate's higher, say between 11 a.m. and 5 a.m. But the forms inquiries are bigger here. So you might decide to change your bidding strategies around that, or geo bids. And obviously people can get carried away, and it is going to be different from business to business to website really to season to season. So heading into Christmas, we're going to talk a little bit now about how you can really do some cool things to really maximize what's around the corner. But I need to talk to you quickly about what I refer to as the ATM machine strategy. Now, the ATM machine is a simple concept because too often I see people thinking of their daily spend with Google as exactly as it's worded, a spend. And it should not be the case. Now, just for a second, imagine you're, say, spending $20 a day on Google and you had an ATM machine, say in your office or where you're sitting now, and it's on the wall, and you could take that $20 out of your wallet or purse and you put that $20 into the wall, into the ATM machine, and it spits out a $200 down the bottom. How many $20 would you put in? And the answer is really quite simple. You'd probably want to put more in because you're putting in 20, you keep getting 200, 20, 200. Now that's obviously a great ROI, and what I essentially am saying, your AdWords campaign is either profitable or it's not. Now, a lot of the times, the AdWords campaigns are profitable, but you don't really see that. So things like call forwarding can help explain that. Things like using remarketing and just bumping up those conversions. But also sometimes, say if you're a dentist, you could look at the lifetime value and go, you know what, I broke even on the actual CPC here and the auction, I got a conversion and it cost me, my acquisitions cost is kind of broke even. But you know what, I'm going to keep this client for 12 months. Or 6 months, so you get the ability to kind of remarket and get referrals from it. So when you actually think about AdWords ROI, you really got to look at the whole picture, I guess is what I'm saying. And if you're putting $20 into an ATM machine and you're getting 200 out, you wouldn't turn it off. Now what I can tell you is during Christmas time, heading into the Christmas season and even in early January, because a lot of people decide to pause their ads and go on holiday, it actually gets cheaper to get, in most cases, to get a lead. Now, why that is because there's not as much competition, but generally there's more traffic in some industries and for some things. So we're going to really explore this in a second. But the real key message here is if you've got a positive ROI, heading into 2015 with turning your ads off and coming back and not having any leads to work could be a disaster. So just keep that in mind. I've seen it happen quite a lot. So again, a simple sort of illustration here that increasing ROI is really what AdWords is all about. That's what we live and breathe here. We live and breathe AdWords and optimization. So during Christmas, it does provide some opportunities in making that better. So, online marketing is an investment to get the continual supply of leads and potential revenue. So when you sort of think of that context and that statement, it really sort of may sort of change the way we think about the Christmas strategy. So with all that said, let's look at the strategy over Christmas that one might implement. So here's an interesting stat. Search volume for retail products can see anywhere up to a 500% increase in traffic during December compared to the previous months of the year. So, that says it all. For key industries, and it may not be the same, in some industries it can get a little bit lower during December, but that's a good thing because if it gets lower, again, it's actually to our advantage. So, but say in retail and e-commerce, for example, where you've got up to 500 times or 5 times the traffic coming through, it does really provide an opportunity where you've literally got 1 month of the year that is worth 5 months of the year. And when you sort of put it in context like that, and if it's well managed and well run throughout that period, it's obviously a very lucrative thing. Here's another good thing that from the chief economist at Google, and this is clicks, cost, and conversions all go up during holidays. As it happens, conversions increase more than clicks. So conversion rates tend to rise. This means that clicks are more valuable. So essentially what's been said there, we'll finish this, so advertisers raise their bids to reach more customers, and as a result, CPCs get pushed up. But what it's really saying there, if you read between the lines, is your conversions do increase more than clicks. Now, if conversions increase more than clicks, the ROI, or the clicks, as they're saying there, becomes more valuable. So essentially, it really is a key time, to make sure that, you're really bidding and making sure you're going strong, I guess, throughout the Christmas period and not backing off. Because if you sort of, go in there with a sort of semi-aggressive strategy throughout December and January, it can really pay off. You know, and obviously it does depend on the industry, but for most industries, like I was saying, whether it's high traffic or even less traffic, in any case, because of the dynamic of people pausing and doing a whole bunch of other things, my tip for you guys is it could be a very sensible option. All right, so let's move on from that. So here's a quick question. So somebody said, I'm an online retailer. Should I increase my marketing spend during Christmas to make the most of this increased search volume? And the simple answer is yes. You know, my thinking is, as I was just saying before, it is much better to be aggressive and capitalize on the, you may be paying more click to bid more aggressively if there's more search volume, but you know what, your cost per conversion is generally going to be much better because people, for the traffic of that time of year, the traffic itself converts at a higher rate than the same amount of traffic spread throughout the year. So it's just the urgency, it's the time, it's the relevance, it's all just going for it at this peak time. So my advice is, yes, it may pay to absolutely be a bit more aggressive in your bidding through that period of time. So ways you can do things as well, and our client managers are across this 100%, especially for e-commerce, you know, is things, you know, like it's 24-hour delivery if it's last minute. So, you know, put yourself in the customer's shoes and obviously make sure the ads are customized around the period of Christmas. And if we're not doing that, if you're not doing it now, speak to your client managers and make sure you get some sort of level of Christmas promotion in there, because it really puts a, you know, a human personal sort of side that this business is smart enough to be putting a promotion together for Christmas. So it must be a business that I'd like to work with. So these are all the sort of psychology message, you know, things that we can be doing now to really sort of make sure that Christmas isn't going to come and go and we didn't capitalize on it. So things to consider over Christmas is get ready for increased traffic and make sure that your budget isn't limited by spend if you know you're getting a good ROI. So if your ROI is somewhat acceptable, don't go to yourself and be stubborn and go, you know what, last year I only spent this much. Well, last year you may not have known what you know today, and your business may not be the same as it is today. So don't sort of, you know, I guess my advice is make this Christmas the best Christmas, and the way you can do that is to make sure that you're not limiting your spend or limiting your traffic rather. The other thing is you can in most cases get a cheaper CPA and increased ROI. So as I discussed earlier, if you're going to get a cheaper CPA, you know, and there's only really key times to do that, you know, again, you'd really want to sort of be aggressive with your advertising strategy during that period. Traffic in some industries can obviously increase by as much as 500%. So we talked about, say, with anything that's sort of e-commerce related or retail, kind of online retail related, it's going to massively increase. But what we also find is people's need for services during that time can actually increase as well, because, you know, they get time to actually take off, especially in early January, to start looking and researching for what they may be wanting to do for 2015. So, you know, and you do want to start the new year strong. There's nothing worse than heading into a new year, pausing your ads, going on holiday, going, I'll turn it all on when I get into the new year, and having no leads to work. So really another really important factor there is to make sure if you want to come back to a strong year and cheaper cost per lead or cheaper leads, you may want to sort of choose the times that you want to sort of, you know, have your ads running. Okay, so we're going to quickly go through some reporting quickly. So some of your clients may have noticed we've just updated our weekly reports to a fantastic new interface, and one of my favorite features, which is a bit hard to see here, is the improvements column. So down the very bottom there, I think you may be able to see it, but we've added a column so you can actually see the improvements from the previous week, and this is a great, so when you are heading into somewhere like Christmas, where you can actually see the ad views or the impressions increasing, you know, and bear in mind with any environmental change in the marketplace with search or whatever, other metrics will change either in a positive or a negative way, but don't be too phased about that. Just be focused on cost per lead or cost per acquisition at the end of the day, because that's really all that matters. All right. Now, as I spoke about earlier today, we've got the digital strategy team that are on standby today for anybody that really wants to look at 2015 more seriously, I guess, and sort of go through and look holistically at what their plans may be for the 2015 year. So we do only have 3 to 4 of our strategy guys that I work with quite closely available. So, and obviously we do have quite a lot of interest after our webinars and on these sort of things. So please do get in early, and hopefully you're going to get you know, some value from that. So some of the key things we look at when we go through a digital strategy is we try to get a better understanding of what is working, what's worked in the past, and really what we haven't looked at yet, or what just to sort of educate you guys into moving into 2015 with really everything that's available that we can do that we may not be currently looking at. Okay, so today we do have an exclusive offer for all attendees, and it is a free digital strategy audit. Now you can get and claim, I guess, redeem that audit today by using this promo code down the bottom, and it's WEB DSA 2014. So that's Web DSA 2014. So guys, if you head over to that link there at sponsoredlinks.com.au/webinar, you can get your free digital strategy audit. Some of you guys may have already done one of those before and had some value out of it. In any case, give me some feedback today. We are going to be heading into quite aggressively next year. We're going to be going into our webinar series quite full on, and we have some exciting webinars that we're going to share with you. We're going to have some on social media. We're going to have some on web conversion. It's just a fantastic agenda. We're also going to release something very shortly, which is called our Web Optimized Center, and you're going to get a whole bunch of resources and webinars and downloads. You really just to take that, you know, the education to the next level. So you're hopefully more educated than your competitors, and in turn, you can really blow them out of the water next year. So that's really all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for your attending today. I know your time is extremely valuable, which is why we do try to keep and chunk all that information that we just went through, which was a lot, in such a short time frame. So hopefully you've got enough information before your lunch today, and it's been of value. And like I said, if you only pick up one thing from today that you can find useful, that's the one thing that is worthwhile and joining today. So I do want to thank everybody for the support throughout the year that have helped support the webinar series, and obviously clients that have been with us for 4, 5, 6 years. We do really love working with you guys, and we love getting you the best return on investment possible. We truly believe we're the best in the country at doing what we do. We've got some extremely smart people, and hopefully in turn this can make sure that your business thrives moving forward. So that's all from me. My name is Ben Bradshaw, and have a great Christmas if I don't speak to you before then. And thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next webinar. Oh, just a quick one, guys. If you do have any questions, post them now, and I'll be more than happy to start answering them. Okay, so we're going to just go through and answer a few of these questions today, and I'll go through a couple of them very quickly. This one's from Damien, and the question is, any restriction on the number that can be used for Google to forward to? Google has an issue with 1,300 numbers. So I think what he's referring to is, can you refer a 1-800 number to a 1,300 number? And the answer to that is I'm not entirely sure. I don't think you can, but I will get back to you on that, Damien, and find out exactly. But to my knowledge, it's mobiles and landlines, and it may have issues with 1,300 numbers. So But what I would say there is figure out which destination number of your 1300 number and just forward it directly to that. So the next question is from Ruth, and can you advise on the costing of how the costing of call forwarding works? The best thing about call forwarding is it's 100% free. It doesn't cost anything. So Google essentially supplies you with a free 1-800 number at no charge. It is, it's uncalled of, it's unheard of. They're actually charging in other countries, but they're not charging in Australia. So it's just a great feature to take advantage of. Okay, the next question again is from Damien, and that is yeah, okay, so that's in regards to, I think, maybe Tag Manager, once that installed on the website. Absolutely. So our client managers, to speak to your client managers regarding getting anything that we spoke about today set up or installed, and that's what we're here for. At the end of the day, we want to be your digital marketing team and supply you with anything we can do to make your business succeed, and that includes everything we spoke about. So just speak to your account manager and we'll get it going. The other one is how can we get my ads to appear in this way? So I'm not too sure in the context of when we what that might be referring to, but it may be a dynamic remarketing. So again, it's something you just speak to your client manager about, and we'll get that all squared away for you. Okay, a couple more questions we have here. We've got time for a few more. Okay, how do these strategies compare to Yellow Pages' digital offering? I'm going to be very careful how I answer this. I had the rep on the phone the other day making all sorts of claims, wondered if that was company, simple answer to this is, we're obviously not going to say anything bad about Yellow Pages and their offering. I'm just going to say it's absolutely different to our business model and how we operate. So we have a transparent model where we have no lock-in contracts. We're results driven on every single one of our products and services, and we live and breathe the results. So we have some proprietary software and technology that our competitors don't, and most importantly, we have a proprietary team. And we feel, in some regards, Google's a tax man and we're the accountants, and we feel that we've got the best group of experts and people within our business that makes us unique. So but that's the best political answer I'll give to that. The next one is we really need to see. Where are we? Okay, we've only been with you for 3 weeks, and this is great, and we've noticed So again, 3 weeks is a really small time to really see any level of results, but I will follow that up and we'll see what we may be able to do to get things moving a bit quicker. How do we add Tag Manager? We'll go through that. And that's about it, guys. So thank you so much for all your questions today and all everyone attended. Just by simply attending today, you're ahead of your competition. There's so many people out there that don't fill themselves full of knowledge. And one thing I can say with online marketing is it's dynamically changing, and you do have a somewhat of a business responsibility to stay up to speed on stuff. So great work for everyone that did attend today, and hopefully we'll look forward to working with you and speaking with you and further taking things to the next level in 2015. Thank you.